Heroes are not born overnight. Their greatness is shaped by family, education, hardship, and dreams. Among the many heroes of the Philippines, one man used not weapons, but his words to awaken an entire nation. This is the story of Dr. Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonzo Realonda, the man whose life inspired the birth of Filipino nationalism. Jose Rizal was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna. He was the seventh child among the 11 children of Francisco Mercado and Theodora Alonzo. During this period, the Philippines was under Spanish colonial rule, where Filipinos experienced discrimination, injustice, and the unequal treatment. Although born into a prosperous family, Rizal would eventually witness the suffering of his fellow Filipinos. These early observations planted the seed of patriotism in his young heart. Rizal came from a well-respected and educated family. His father, Francisco Mercado, was a hard-working farmer who managed their lands. His mother, Theodora Alonzo, was highly educated and became Rizal's very first teacher. His mother taught him alphabet, reading, writing, and prayers. More importantly, she nurtured his love for learning, critical thinking, and compassion. Growing up with 10 siblings, Rizal learned discipline, responsibility, and respect. His family valued education above wealth, believing that knowledge was the key to freedom. Rizal's family became the foundation of his character. Their guidance shaped the values that later influenced his writings and his vision for the better Philippines. Even as a child, Jose Rizal showed extraordinary intelligence. At the age of 3, he already learned the alphabet. By 5, he could read and write fluently. He loved reading books, listening to his mother's stories, drawing pictures, sculpting clay, and observing nature. These hobbies sharpened both his imagination and creativity. One of the most influential stories his mother told him was about the moth and the flame. The story taught him that pursuing truth often requires sacrifice. When Rizal was only 8 years old, he wrote his first poem titled Sa Aking Mga Kabata, expressing love for one's native language. His childhood experiences awakened his awareness of justice and inspired him to use the literature as a powerful weapon against oppression. Rizal's formal education began in Binyan, Laguna under the guidance of Maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz. Despite being younger than most of the classmates, Rizal consistently excelled in his studies. He later enrolled at Ateneo Municipal de Manila in 1872. There, he graduated with highest honor, earning the degree of Bachelor of Arts. His discipline, intelligence, and dedication made him one of the most outstanding students of his generation. His education developed not only his intellectual, but also his sense of responsibility to serve his country. After Ateneo, Rizal pursued medicine at University of Santo Tomas. However, he experienced discrimination from some Spanish professors, motivating him to continue his education abroad. His decision to study further was driven by two goals: to become an excellent physician and to fight for reforms through education and knowledge. Eventually, Rizal would continue his studies in Europe, where his ideas about freedom, equality, and nationalism would become even stronger. Education transformed Rizal into a thinker, writer, scientist, and reformist, whose ideas would inspire generations of Filipinos. From a curious child in Calamba to an outstanding student determined to learn beyond borders, Jose Rizal's early life proves that education can shape not only an individual but also the destiny of a nation. His journey from birth to education laid the foundation for the hero who would later awaken the Filipino spirit through his words, courage, and unwavering love for his country. In the next chapter of his life, Rizal's travels would open his eyes to the world and strengthen his mission to fight for the freedom of the Filipino people.
In every nation's history, there comes a person whose courage changes the course of time. For the Philippines, that person was Dr. Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Rielonda, a writer, doctor, scholar, patriot, and a national hero. Though he never led an army, his words inspired a revolution and awakened the spirit of a nation. This is the story of his travels, his loves, his exile, his trial, and his ultimate sacrifice. At the age of 21, Jose Rizal secretly left the Philippines in 1882 to continue his studies abroad. Using the name Jose Mercado, he sailed to Spain, hoping to gain knowledge that would help free his country from injustice. In Madrid, Rizal studied medicine and philosophy while witnessing the ideals of democracy, equality, and freedom. He believed that education was the strongest weapon against oppression. His journey did not stop in Spain. Rizal traveled to France, Germany, Austria, Italy, Belgium, England, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and United States. He learned more than 20 languages, met different famous scholars, and improved his skills in medicine, literature, and science. Inspired by what he had seen abroad, Rizal wrote Noli Me Tangere and later El Filibusterismo. These two novels exposed the corruption and abuses committed during Spanish colonial rule, giving hope to Filipinos who longed for freedom. Behind that brilliant mind of Jose Rizal was a man capable of deep love. Throughout his life, he experienced several meaningful relationships. Here, I will mention some of the women he was connected with. His first love was Segunda Katimbang, but their romance ended because she was already engaged. Leonor Valenzuela also admired Rizal, yet that distance separated them. His greatest love was Leonor Rivera. They dreamed of spending their lives together, but their letters were hidden by Leonor's family. Believing that Rizal had forgotten her, Leonor married another man. Her marriage deeply broke Rizal's heart and influenced the emotional scene in his novels. Later, while in exile, Rizal met Josephine Bracken. Their love blossomed in Dapitan, despite many challenges. Although they wished to marry, the Catholic Church refused because Rizal would not fully submit to its conditions. Nevertheless, Josephine remained faithfully by his side until that very end. In 1896, the Philippine Revolution broke out. Although Rizal consistently believed in peaceful reform rather than violent revolution, the Spanish government accused him of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy. The trial was swift and unfair. Rizal was denied a fair opportunity to defend himself. Despite the lack of evidence directly linking him to armed uprising, the colonial government feared influence of his writings more than any weapon. prison, Rizal remained calm and composed. He spent his final hours writing what would become one of the greatest patriotic poems ever written, Mi Ultimo Adios. On the morning of December 30, 1896, Jose Rizal was brought to Bagong Bayan, now known as Luneta Park. At only 35 years old, he faced death with dignity and courage. Before the firing squad fired, Rizal requested to face them, but his request was denied. As the bullet struck him, he deliberately turned his body to face the sky, an enduring symbol of bravery and love for his country. His death did not silence his message. Instead, it ignited the hearts of the millions of Filipinos who continued the fight for independence. Jose Rizal proved that true heroism is measured not by the sword, but by wisdom, integrity, compassion, and sacrifice. His travels broadened his vision. His love revealed his humanity. His exile demonstrated his service. His trial exposed injustice, and his execution transformed him into an enduring symbol of Filipino nationalism. More than a century later, Rizal's life continues to remind us that one person armed with truth, courage, and love for the country can inspire an entire nation. Remember, as what Dr. Jose Rizal said, the youth is the hope of our future.